Welcome to the Expat Equation, the podcast where we explore the human side of working abroad.
We're your host. I'm Bianca Janan.
And I'm Julian Johns. We're both expats and inclusion professionals, and through our work at Candidate Aid and Culture Flow, we've helped hundreds of internationals navigate global careers.
In each episode, we speak with internationals and companies who hire them to uncover the real stories, struggles, and strategies behind a life and career across borders.
And today's guest is Luciana Alegre, Senior Product Designer at Handelsbanken. And as is very common, Luciana's partner already had a job when they moved here. So we'll hear about her journey moving abroad, finding a job, and what it's taught them about navigating culture and identity and how it's shaping their career.
Wherever you're an international professional or someone working in HR, this episode is for you.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Hi, Luciana. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Can you walk us through your international journey, where you're originally from, what inspired you to move abroad, which countries you lived in, and how all this experience kind of shaped your personal and professional path so far?
My journey started in Portugal. I was born there, but very early I've moved abroad with my parents when I was just 4 years. And I think the personal transition started exactly there. So it was a very young age. We moved to a different continent. So it was Namibia in Africa. And we were there for a couple of years, 6 years. It shaped me totally in terms of, I don't know who I was before, but I know who I became after that. And I think that helped a lot in the decision-making of coming to Norway. And because I've had this experience before, although before it was with my parents, surrounded by family, this time with my partner, it seemed very easy just to, okay, let's go.
What was the biggest cultural shift or surprise that you experienced when you first moved to Norway?
Lunchtime. So I think that was the first shock. It wasn't for sure the only one, because I had a previous experience of changing or going to a different country, adapting to a new reality. I think sometimes the shock passes through me and I don't really realize it. But lunch here is such a different event from, I will risk to say, from the big part of like the rest of the world, really. So I remember when I started working here, and lunchtime was always a big deal for me. Lunchtime, oh great, let's go. And then suddenly I see what we call matpack. But I have to say it was actually a luxurious matpack with salmon and roast beef and so on, eggs even. So, and the time as well. So that was around 11 in the morning. Where I'm from, we usually do it at 1. So I wasn't having breakfast at that time. So yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest impacts in terms of culture. Another one was quite recently when I went to the well, the spa. I was advised. It's a very funny story, but again, I become comfortable very easily. So, you're going to the well, it's a free area, people are around with no clothes, and I'm like, yeah, sure, but I'm not going to that area. And suddenly, whoever is listening, if they haven't experienced it, I definitely recommend the well. And I mean, it's just fine. Everyone is doing it, then you just don't look back and you get in naked to the sauna and it's fine.
Would you say that there was a defining moment in your journey abroad? Something that you feel like it's the highlight of the journey?
There were 2 things that Well, maybe, yeah, highlight and maybe very impacting during my journey so far. First was when I was headhunted for the first time here in Norway, because it was such a struggle to find a job in the first place, that when I was headhunted for a second job, it was like, oh my God, it is possible. So that was definitely a huge thing that happened for me, professionally, in terms of personal confidence as well. That was very important. And secondly, I would say having a kid here, it's not that it's, well, I don't have a different experience really, having a kid in my own country, but it definitely shapes you and tells you something, you know, okay, it's happening here, you are here, it impacts you a lot, yeah.
I share your experiences for listeners. Both Luciana and I are new parents, and it certainly helps define your, not just your place here in Norway, but how you then respond to Norway. We're going to start the deep dive now, and actually at the beginning it's clear that your partner Gonzalo had a job and you both came to Norway because of that role. What was it like searching for your first role here?
So I think I took a different approach, as many people normally do. He came during COVID, so lockdown. I couldn't join at the time. I was willing to. The idea was that I would join while working in the company I was working for in Portugal. Suddenly I couldn't join because restrictions and all of that. So the plan was I will search for a job from Portugal. And for whoever is struggling to find a job in Norway, I can assure you the task is so much complicated doing it from abroad. It took, I would say, since I started applying until I found a job, it took 10 months. No expectations or very low expectations, persistency, and cover letters. A lot of cover letters, because here in Norway, it's a huge thing. Cover letters and references work brilliantly in the market, I feel.
When you say references, do you mean to have like a reference letter or to have someone to introduce you to the role?
Well, definitely someone who can introduce you to the role is fundamental. I couldn't have that. I wasn't living here. I knew no one. But someone that can reference you, or like your previous boss, manager, whoever, that can write a reference letter to you that you can send over to the places you're applying to. I think that is super important here.
So you decided that not only a cover letter, clearly, but also in addition to that, having pre-approved references from 2 or 3 people as part of your submission.
That is something I learned after my first job. Whoever is listening is trying to look or find a job here in Norway, whether you are abroad or already in Norway, references are super important in this market.
Positive and keeps off going during that period. So you mentioned that it took you 10 months to get a job. What was happening during that time for you?
So it was tricky because my partner was here already and I was in Portugal applying for jobs in Norway, several interviews per month digitally. I can say it was like personally, it was very, or mentally very up and down. Because I remember there was a job that I really wanted it and I was so confident that I was gonna get it, you know, and then they were taking some time to reply and to get back, and then your hopes go down and down and down, and then you didn't get it, and then you have to start all over again. And then there was another one that I got it, but then I was okay, I got the job, I can go now, but is it a right fit for me? Is this the job I want to do when I go to a different country. It was slightly different comparing to what I was applying to. And I was able to say no. And I think this is very important because you are already doing a huge transition, changing country, changing culture. You have to be certain for what you're going for. Whether you come here without a job, you have to be certain that you're coming without anything and that it might take long for you to find something. Whether you're applying from abroad, you also have to be certain, is that the job you're looking for? Is that what you're going for?
So did you get the job and then you moved to Norway? Is that the process?
Yes, I got the job and then I moved.
Yeah.
And from getting the job until I moved, it took another 2 months.
Did you feel that applying before you came to Norway helped because at least you were in a place that you were familiar with? There wasn't too much stress, although you were clearly missing your partner.
It depends a lot on who you are and how you take the situations. For myself, I knew myself well enough to decide that it would be very difficult for me to be in Norway searching for a job without anything else.
Regarding the working culture, how would you define the working culture here and how different it is to what you experienced before moving to Norway?
So that is one of the things that amazes me about this country. So I came from a country where the working culture, if we look into numbers, talking 1 is very bad and 10 is the dream. I came from a country where the work environment is between 3 and 5 if you're lucky. Very toxic, very competitive, no balance between private life and work. And I'm here in Norway, which I would, if not a 10, I would give it a 9. So, or I've been very lucky where I've been working and worked previously. It's just, it's been amazing, the quality of life that you have at work, the amount at work that you have, the dialogue you can have at work. You know, it's just so different. In Portugal, it's very common to shout at each other at work. It's just how it works, you know, no one takes it personally. You don't go home and cry. It's just how it is. Here, you keep the tone. You are always polite, and politeness works. So that is brilliant.
And you still don't go crying at home.
Exactly. No, I think no one gets tired of being polite or receiving it, you know, so.
In terms of adjusting to the working culture, you clearly mentioned that the work-life balance is hugely different. How did you adjust to other ways of working here and what did you do?
I think because I feel I have so much of a voice at work. People are so respectful and mindful of you and your space and your boundaries. It's very easy to adapt and to dialogue about your needs, whether it's personal, whether it's work related. You just talk, you just bring your manager and say what you want and what you need, and it's a simple path.
Did you feel that language or the communication ever held you back since you moved here?
So language is something I feel I am not delivering back to this country. Because this being an expat is very much as being in a relationship. You are in a relationship with the country. So you go to the new country, you are definitely taking something from it, and you need to give back. And giving back is, of course, joining the community, the habits, and acquiring the language. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say I am very good in adapting. Language hasn't come easy because work hasn't been demanding it, really. And I find it so challenging to learn a language when you are not being pressured to learn it. Now that my kid is starting barnehage, I find myself talking to her the little I know of Norwegian while I'm in there with her, trying to help her adapt. But I don't feel it is a barrier. Of course, it has to do in which field you're working.
Outside work, did you feel that language was a barrier for you, or?
No, but I might be a special creature in that, because I have groups of friends where I'm the only one who doesn't speak Norwegian. And I don't mind if we're having a parallel conversation where some are speaking in Norwegian and I'm engaging with someone else in English, or suddenly everyone is speaking in Norwegian and I'm just there. That never bothered me. But I know this is a huge pain point for so many people. So I think this is, again, it has to do a lot with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about work and talking about, you mentioned how easy it is to get on at work. When we talk about belonging at work, what's made you feel really included or excluded?
I'll start with excluded, because I've never really felt that. But again, I might be the weird creature out here, because I know it's very easy to feel excluded abroad. Also has to do a lot with who you are, what makes you feel excluded or not. Like I was saying, I really don't mind if people suddenly just start talking in Norwegian around me and I have to, I'm just there. I really don't mind. So I've never really felt excluded. Included, though, is, again, it's very easy for me, because I just need to engage with people to feel that I'm included. As I was saying, I have a group of friends where I'm the only one who's not Norwegian, for example. This makes me feel super included. I'm part of the gang, you know? I'm invited to things. I know a lot of people who say, oh, Norwegians are so cold. You never go to their houses. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go to people's houses. But again, it's very individual of how you perceive being included and excluded. And how you engage with people, really, you know. Sometimes you have to be you have to work the magic, enchant people, you know.
In terms of companies and your advice towards companies, what do you think that HR and maybe hiring managers could do, or you wish they would understand better about internationals?
Yeah, I feel here there is definitely something to do about the culture, but also about companies in general. I feel since my professional life started, there has been a huge lack of a process in general. So I think this is something that HR should work on, especially if it's a company that hires foreigners. Onboarding is crucial. And then culturally, we're in a country where from kindergarten, you learn how to self-serve, be on your own, figure out things by yourself. Of course, this reflects afterwards in working environment. So I think companies expect you to figure it out by yourself. We don't all come from this background, or we're not all like this. So, of course, some people, despite not coming from this background, can manage it super well. Other people might even come from this background and aren't able to survive the first months of hiring or being hired in a company, because they feel lost, they feel alone, they feel they're not being followed up. Yeah.
It's interesting because our first podcast guest, Paul, he mentioned the same thing. He mentioned you're pretty much left on your own to figure it out. And I think it does echo back to a cultural value on being self-sufficient.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about a culture that will survive in the woods, will survive in the middle nothing alone, even if it's needed. So the rest of the world is more, oh, I need you. Oh, I can't be alone, you know? So, yeah.
We're now going to head into the quick fire round. So we're going to ask you a series of quick questions that require quick answers. What's the best thing about working abroad?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do this quick, but I would say the quality of life it brings.
Most awkward cultural moment?
The well, again. Go and experience the well spa. No paid advertisement, I promise.
What's one local tradition that you love?
The 17th of May. It's just so beautiful. And please let me extend this in 2 minutes. The pride that people feel when they're wearing their traditional clothes, it just amazes me. In Portugal, if you do it, people will look at you, what are you doing? You know, it's beautiful.
Remote, hybrid, or office?
Hybrid, definitely. I mean, come on, companies.
Coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
Coffee, preferably with milk, and ideally keeping it in the same temperature for hours.
Okay. What's your superpower?
My superpower is actually other people. And the only thing I do is engage with them and really enchant them. That's all.
We're going to move into a section now about more advice and tips for listeners. What advice would you give to someone just starting their expat journey, especially if their partner, like you, might already have a job?
If you are here in Norway, learn the language. It will give you so much more paths or opportunities. Network. Alone, with friends, with your partner. Go to events, go to fairs, meet people. Go to places where you can talk to other people about your experience. Networking really works in this country.
If you could give advice to business here, what would you say are the advantages of hiring international talent into a company and a team from your perspective?
The advantages are huge. I mean, I think Norwegians are very good at what they do, but I feel because we come from such a hard working culture, not hard working, but hard working culture, and we have to sometimes struggle so much to be recognized. It's easier for an expat to shine here, really. Although you're not trying to be more than others, you shine. So trust in your skills, and for the hiring companies, consider this, that you are bringing quality into the country, and you might be influencing your entire company by hiring expats.
Sometimes there is, however, a perceived risk to hiring internationals. What would you say to companies to help mitigate this risk?
I really understand the risk, and we see it every day when someone, even someone that lives or that was born here, is not a good fit. So the risk is always there. A hire is always a box of surprises. I mean, hiring HR managers, they have testing tools. So do the tests, take these tests into the hiring process. Don't forget that the person is going to go through a huge cultural change, language and everything. Have this in consideration and try to analyze the psychological aspects of who you're hiring. You know, it's totally different if you're hiring someone that's already feeling at home.
We were discussing a bit earlier about onboarding as being an important piece that companies should take into consideration. Is there anything else you think that they could do better in order to include these internationals into the team and actually help the team to be more welcoming? to the internationals?
Definitely. Having a buddy is fundamental. I mean, you might not have an onboarding process in your company, but if you have a buddy, and I've had the luck of having Julian as my first buddy here in Norway, I can tell you it really had a huge impact on feeling more integrated, more welcoming. Of course, if the company has a social agenda, this also helps a lot people to feel integrated. It's an opportunity to network, to chat, to meet each other. So I think all the opportunities of social events, because you want to know the person and welcome the person, not only professionally, the person has to feel comfortable. Otherwise, they won't give their best to the company.
What does belonging mean to you now, and how has that changed during the time?
I've moved a lot along the way, not only countries, as I've said, but I've moved from city to city. I've moved a lot from home to home or house to house. So I don't need much to feel at home or to have the sense of belonging. But for me here in Norway, the fact that I had my own place, my house. I never had this in Portugal because I always lived with others. So this was actually the first time I had my house. And I remember the first time I went to Portugal after joining my partner here. And it was so overwhelming. I just wanted to go back to my home. And I was like, oh my God, but I'm so far away from family, friends, but it's where I feel at home.
Luciana, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and sharing your story of building a career and life across borders.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you.
And we hope her experience reminded you that you are not alone and that navigating life abroad is as much as about community as it is about courage.
And if you're an international professional looking for support or working in HR, wanting to improve how your company hires and supports global talent,
you'll find links to Candidate Aid and Culture Flow in the show notes. We'd love to support your journey. Don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who might need to hear this.
This is the Expat Equation, exploring the human side of working abroad, powered by Candidate Aid and Culture Flow. See you next time.
See you next time.